Good morning, everybody. It's the Truth Serum. Um, Thank you for the great support for the PBD interview with John Gotti the third, and it was good. I appreciate any newcomers that come in here, so thank you. We're gonna look at some stuff of today's PBD podcast that just commenced, just finished up a little while ago, and go get a coffee. Forgive me for smoking and come hang out. I appreciate the new people that come in. Hit the share button, the subscribe button, and notification on all that. So I really I've saw Patrick Bet David do his thing and interviews many different diverse different people in his shows. Very successful. And to me, when you have legacy media and what media has turned into is what is not even relevant or reputable, to say the least. And you just sit there, it's like it pisses you off. And then you have people like Fox News has, but Fox News could get cute too once in a while. But then you got some people out there like Patrick Bet David that they're like an oasis. When you watch all this crazy propaganda, legacy media, CNN, ABC, Disney, The View, you see all this, whatever you want to call it, you folks are all aware of it by now. And then you see Patrick Bet David. He brings the receipts. Now, anybody can have a platform and they could spew whatever they want, and people have the right to watch or not watch. Yes, quite simple. But I like when you do source generated things, like source generate fact checking, source generated fact checking. Like the clown channel, YouTube channel that's doing the mob stories and all this, and he doesn't even know how to fact check. He just goes willy nilly, and I was going back and forth when I was doing mafia stories, and I was just watching this guy going whatever. But he has a right to do what he wants to do, but he doesn't care about the legitimacy of the things he's saying, and he's trying to be an armchair he's trying to be an armchair gangster. And out of respect to the old friends in the mob that can't defend themselves or defend the real stories of the mob, I got caught up in that twirl, whatever, that merry-go-round with that clown, because he doesn't care to have any legitimacy. But I watched PBD and his team in the trenches now to source generate facts, which you could say, well, the Truth Serum. You can there could be compromised stuff within your source generated fact checking. Or if you want to argue that, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, if you want to make that argument, there might be such a small standard of deviation, a minuscule standard of deviation of something that was fact checked, because there's just straight up concrete hardcore facts out there that are just, the sky is blue, the grass is green. And he's got a team on there, a panel, and Patrick does he covers things. He knows what the argument might be before you go there, and it's very reassuring and comfortable to see that 4 years of legacy media, like fake mobster channels and things like that. I'm gonna do another video about Mike Francis and Gotti the third, and we're worried. But I got to get this video in with Patrick Bet David because it's current events, and I don't know how many views I'm gonna get or what the response to this is, but I'm used to getting 12 views. I've been censored and everything else, but I don't quit. I keep fighting. So let's check some of this stuff out, folks. I'm gonna put it up here, but you're gonna just hear, and I'm gonna react to some of the things that Patrick is saying.
Kids are correcting the first lady that, hey, why can't you just say Merry Christmas? That a kid has to lecture the president's wife. Watch this clip here. It's so funny. It's 13 seconds. Go ahead.
Hello. How are you? Hi. Happy holidays.
Watch
Hi.
it.
Yes.
Happy Christmas. Yes.
Happy holidays to Happy Christmas. You can pause it right there. The kid is more comfortable saying Merry Christmas.
They want to strip you down of everything. Happy holidays. It's not correct to say Merry Christmas. How polluted and diluted are these Democrats? Dr. Jill Biden. Yeah, okay. All right. Forgive me, folks. Forgive me, folks. You know, sickening. What they've been trying to do with this dumbing down of America that I've wrote papers on back in college in '81, the systematic dumbing down of America, which will lead a population into more socialist, communistic, Marxist tendencies without them even knowing it. It's like you're getting robbed, and you're saying, "Rob me more, rob me more," like the Democrat base that supports these Democrats. It's just like it's a syndrome.
And our first lady is. But anyways, the USA hampers that this had, in 6 weeks, it sold the same amount as the USA hat did in 6 months. That's ridiculous. This hat, Christmas. But so I'm not selling it to you. We don't have it. We still have these Christmas hats left, these two Merry Christmas. One thing I will tell you that moved insanely fast were these sweaters. These sweaters, that the quality is insane. You can literally sleep in these things.
Now he's selling.
Being around the corner. This one here, hot item going off the shelf. This is.
Let's move along.
And on the back, it's
the guy's running, and he's just sort of lollygagging. He has at the 1 yard line. He kind of drops the ball, fumbles right before the end zone because he thinks he's in there home free, and then it goes back to a safety. That's what Trump hopefully is not doing whatsoever right now, because we're about 35 days until unbelievable until this. So yes, it's so interesting about the fact that he won't go to Bedminster. He won't say that because a few months ago, when he was shot in the face and they put a glass cage around him and they said, "Listen, don't get out of the cage." What did he do the first time he was in there? He went to go help a lady that fell down. He's like, "Get back in the cage, Trump. What are you doing?" But here's a guy who we had a conversation. Should he stop golfing during the election season, during everything that was going on? I was like,
Trump's not bowing down or giving in to any fear, even though they're taking shots at him. He's not bowing down like these wokesters, these little fruity pies that they want everybody to be submissive and just give in and this happened and I better do this and that. Yeah, he needs some safety precautions because they're coming at him every which way but loose. But they put the glass in front of him, and he walked away from the protective glass.
Don't go on a golf course, buddy. They're coming to get you, clearly. So who knows what's going on here? So even Trump, in this regard, is saying, "I'm not going to Bedminster." One more thing. This comes down to national security or foreign interference or foreign surveillance. So when it comes to national security,
this is the drones.
Like DHS, FBI, CIA, the FAA, aviation. You guys don't. You got nothing? No.
I just did a video, look in my library, about Mayorkas. That really twisted. You know who I mean.
No answers, no nothing. And if it is foreign interference or foreign surveillance, as Trump said, we would shoot it down. Yeah. The fact that it's been how many weeks?
November
6 weeks?
November 18th.
Over a month, and we still don't know what the hell's going on.
They know, but they won't tell.
No, but the public doesn't.
Yeah, so listen.
Well, the drones, they're like, we don't know what they are, but they're not dangerous. Okay, Mayorkas. All right, Mayorkas. We don't know what they are, but, they just spoon feed you lies from the tablecloth. They're just spoon feeding you more rhetoric, more stuff that pisses you off.
There's a couple things. One is a John Ferguson guy that talked Rogan shared this clip of John talking about, look, I don't know what it is, and I'm not a guy. I'm in the business. I'm somebody that does stuff. Rob, is this a clip, a shorter one? Because I don't want the longer one.
Yeah, I have two short clips. One of him explaining what he believes that drones are, and then the second about a nuclear warhead.
Go ahead and play this one here.
He's a drone
understand
expert.
they were out there trying to find this radioactive material. There's no reason for a drone to be flying at night, really, okay? Because they don't see shit. The only reason why you would ever fly an aircraft, an unmanned aircraft at night, is if you're looking for something. We also have special sensors that can detect radioactive material. So,
Which could be a nuclear warhead.
with this gentleman that I had spoken with, who was trying to raise the alarm to try to get somebody in the government to say, hey, we need to work together to go try to find this nuclear warhead, none of that ever happened. They knew that warhead was on its way to the United States. That's all that ever came of it.
This is the movie Some of All
Nothing
Fears.
ever happened. This government did not do
We
anything.
can pause right there. So when you hear what he says, then there's another guy that's on MSNBC.
Because it's most likely from China, and that's Biden and Harris homeboys. It's most likely from China. I don't think, maybe Iran or something, but those are this current administration's homies. Then you get the cabinet members like the Department of Homeland Security and Mayorkas, I thought, buddy, that just sticking it to the people.
Michael B., who's a drone specialist, he's like, look, I don't know what's going on here. Here's all I can tell you. I went out there where all these drones are in the sky, and I said, okay, let me take my drone up there so I can get close to it and see what's going on. He said the weirdest thing happened. He says, as I'm about to go up, it didn't give me clearance. He says, how did everybody else get clearance, but I'm not getting clearance? Why am I not getting clearance while he's trying to get up there? It's kind of weird. He says, look, I'm not telling you anything. All I'm saying is,
these drones must have some kind of signature fingerprint in the data that identifies these, because they got them all over the place. And then this guy wants to send one up to have a drone look at drones, and
I do this for a living, and I couldn't get up there to use the drone. Anyways, then Gordon Chang, who has been on a podcast before, he's on Forbes, and he's sitting there saying, you got to be ready for the worst case scenario. He says 50% chance China's behind it.
yes,
And they're working on something. They've been talking about war for a while.
Yes.
This guy's speculation is the fact that the lady asked him a question at the end, should we be worried? It says 50% chance there is something going on here, and we have to be ready for it. That's the interview with Maggie. You don't need to play the clip. It's 15 minutes, but I watch this. I'm like, okay. Then it said Pentagon says it's not military drones nor foreign. That's what the Pentagon says. It's drones not ran by individuals. So those are two things we know. Not foreign, not military. That's what's being said. Not individuals. Exactly. Maybe CIA, maybe Department of Homeland Security, maybe FBI. But he says we've not had a war in our soil since 1812. That's what Gordon Chang is talking about. And
well, as far as intelligence goes, just like with the mafia, I told you there was like a mafia, the regular mafia that the people know traditionally, their interpretation of the mafia. But there was other types of people that were shadow people, which I called shadow men within the mafia. And the government has shadow intelligence. And you're going to get bull crap from Mayorkas. You're going to get bull crap from all these agencies. And everybody's going to be going, oh, well, what's going on here? Well, what's going on?
Have to be ready for this to be a war. He is saying this. Now, whether it is or not, it is what it is. Then Chase Hughes, who's a Navy intelligence guy, chief, and he's got very interesting views that he talks about. He says, look, let me just kind of give you guys a breakdown. And he breaks down how to spot a PSYOP, okay? And this guy talks about 25 things that he trained CIA agents on. And how to, identify a PSYOP. He's written a couple books, very interesting. He says, number one, okay, is distraction is a tactic. Is this happening because they're distracting us from a major event that's going on? Well, what is a major event that's going on? Well, the new guy's about to take office. And what's going to happen if he takes office? A lot of people who have power and control for a long time may lose a lot of their privilege. Sure.
Lose privileges. Yeah, they might lose their privileges. And a lot of these Democrats might be going to jail. I mean, PBD, he treads a little lightly sometimes, but I like to get it in. I'm from a military family.
So it could be a distraction tactic. Number two, using fear as a tool to unite. Fear. The government uses fear a lot as a tool to unite. So if there's a threat big enough, we will unite. Cold War was called what? A Red Scare, right? Post 9/11, they used 9/11 as weapons of mass destruction for them to introduce what to
Terror.
us? The Patriot Act,
Yeah,
right?
terror.
And what came after 9/11 in November of 2000?
They use fear mongering to install things like the Patriot Act and all that. So they have 1,000 pages of the Patriot Act, and then they just infiltrate other real cutie pie moves within this Patriot Act, and you don't know. The people aren't so proactive to see what was in this Patriot Act and what it means and all that with that Obama.
TSA. Before that, you would just go. So everything became more surveillance of the people. You need a massive. This could be a way to say, here's what's going on. Let me tell you, because of this, we need to introduce the next, So we need to kind of be careful with that. Then testing.
Well, yeah. So when you are in fear, you'll be more motivated to give up your rights of privacy and things like that, and surveillance tactics. Well, you have your computer sitting at home, wherever it is. You don't think that even if it's off, that they can pick up what's going on, what you're saying in your household, and things pertaining to that. And then what happens there? Whatever words you are uttering, there's key words there, and it reaches a level. There's a big library of words. Then that gets weeded down. And it gets weeded down until you got just some rogue people talking about some crazy stuff that raises the antenna. And yeah, that's good, but it's not good when you just invade people's personal lives. Your cell phone could be off. The communication companies work with the government. Okay.
The waters. The government, he's saying, could use this method to test the waters to see how willing are we? Like, look at what they did with COVID. We may need to shut down. 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 We may need to shut down.
Fear.
Every outlet that says the same thing, then we're like, we may need to shut down. What are you saying? We may need to take the kids out of school. This is horrible. Is it worth at one life? We need to. So everybody was like, yeah, we need to shut down schools.
Fear.
And then the government's like, wow, these guys are dumb enough to buy into it. That's great. Let's push a little bit more, right? By using this fear. In 1964, the Gulf of Tonkin is a body of water in Southeast Asia. They used the fear of that to be able to escalate the war on Vietnam. The reports of fake naval ships that are out there, guess what? That helped them as well. And then he continues. He says, while this is happening, the phases are three phases. Normalization phase keeps us curious, but not panic. Number two, setting stage for a big event you can't ignore. That's the second one. Number three, a need for safety, increase in defense budget, more control in hands. Hey, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And he goes into go look up Project Bluebeam.
Then what it does, it justifies, when then you create that fear, it justifies all that. And what, I don't know what he's going to say next, but then it's acceptance. Then it's just like, well, we accept it. So you're already becoming more and more sheeple. You're just being indoctrinated. Fear is one of the biggest tactics. Fear is, one of the biggest things in a human being's, as a human being. Fear. It's big. Jesus says, "Fear not." A lot of times, fear not.
Which, by the way, I know a lot of people, when you look at Project Bluebeam, hey, it's really this, it's really that. You gotta be careful with this theory and stuff. But guess what? News Nation did a story on Project Bluebeam. This is News Nation. What is Project Bluebeam? Drone conspiracy theory. Drone sightings have been consistent across New Jersey and has spread beyond the Northeast Ohio and San Diego. State and local officials are calling for greater transparency. You can go a little bit lower. What is Project? Canadian journalist Serge Monas is credited with coming up with the theory of Project Bluebeam, wherein there's a plot to engender a dictatorial universal government that abolishes Abraham.
Now, this is a long video. I'm just going to willy-nilly, randomly just advance it a little bit so he can get onto some other stuff, okay?
Watching how it happened. So when I hear this guy talking about
Let's see.
the government very quietly going about its business,
Let's
and
catch
he
up.
thinks that it's government drones that are out there sniffing for something.
Let's move
I
on.
kinda believe that.
Let's move
Jimmy,
on.
No, I find it believable. I'm gonna say right now, I find it believable.
It also could be data collecting and it's so much speculation. Let's move on. Well, let's see where we stop.
Here, but there is a partisan divide in that because Democrats 54% trust in media, so above the 50% number. Independents 27%. Republicans, ready? 12% trust.
Now, this is breaking down the demographic of independents that trust the media, Republicans, and Democrats. I'm not a Democrat. Historically, Italians who back then were Democrats. I'm a thinker. I'm not. I don't just have alliance and allegiance to a particular political party. If their agenda and their concepts and their plans, I think that if that runs parallel to my beliefs, then I'll say, yeah, I like Donald Trump or I like this guy. If it's common sense, it's patriotic, and a lot of this stuff is common sense stuff. Jack the Clipper, Mr. Anderson, how's it going? This is PBD. I'm gonna bounce around on it because it's a long video, and then I'm gonna do another mob thing. I'm the hardest working YouTuber out there. I'm gonna try to get this channel back up and rolling. That's a good YouTube name, Jack the Clipper. Let's check that. Let's check it out. This is part of PBD's team and that stuff.
This is why the rise in podcasts, PBD, Rogan, so on and so forth, is blowing up because there's more trust.
I said, Rob, I said
Well,
to
what he's saying, yeah, you have legacy media that is totally propaganda and politicized, but the shift came like with Officer Tatum, Davari Dawkins, the Cartier family, and these people are of color. You know, some are black, but the podcasts, people are going to podcasts more than legacy propaganda, politicized media. Because at some point in time, you just watch The View and CNN and ABC and George Snuffleupagus and all these clowns that are working for globalists. And then you just finally say, I've had enough. Let me search YouTube and let me check out and see what some of these other people's opinions are. So podcast channels got big. So when the networks years ago only had CBS, ABC, and NBC, 3. I was little, that's all you could watch. And then as cable TV came up and technology came up, and now we have a different source of getting our information where most of it was propaganda and politicized back in the day. So the big shift went from historical gibberish to different points of view, makes more sense. It's a more comfortable platform, and the people put out facts. So like PBD, good looking, smart guy, you know, and they put it out there. Rogan, they put it out there. So we don't need to watch Jake Tapper on CNN. We don't need to watch Wolf Blitzkrieg Blitzen. We don't need to watch those racist propaganda, un-American people. They realize they've become irrelevant. And now Krieger, that runs Disney, The View, they're kind of backpedaling. Can you imagine The View, that rodent show? They're backpedaling. Well, we should have done this, we should have done that, because they totally tanked. And now they're doing damage control, and they're trying to stop the bleeding and try to move more toward the center. But the water's already under the dam. When you become irrelevant, it's just like you know, it'd be like Charles Manson saying, well, now I'm a morally correct guy. And you just say, no, we already know your DNA, bro. We already know the DNA of CNN News. We already know the DNA of NBC. We already know the DNA of The View and CBS. We already know you've been made. You've been found out. So you got all these podcasts that even like Davari Darkins, Patriot, Davari Darkins, great guy, great mind. He's on YouTube. His views for his podcasts, some of his videos do better than CNN viewership. The podcast, independent people podcast viewership beats out The View, CNN, so people are smarter and became smarter because everything got exposed. So, and that's good. There's many places. If we're looking for information, political or other, well, then we have other choices in this day and age. Instead of The View, all that is a propaganda racist loop. That's just on a loop. CNN, the same gibberish. Why do you think? How could Donald Trump beat the odds on, number one, the Democrats had unlimited campaign budget for Kamala Harris. Unlimited. So they played 20 times more ads, anti-Trump ads, on a loop around the clock. Number one. They just over and over again. And so they had, more or less, so to speak, the deck of cards was stacked. If it was anybody else but Donald Trump, it would have been a landslide. You can't overcome all those negative ads on a loop. They just hypnotize people. So he beat out all that. And because people were going to other sources they weren't watching Whoopi and Joy Reid and all that. They were like, let's just watch some other things. So to shift podcasts, our viewership is multiplying viewership exponentially every day. Like PBD, wrote, and other ones that I write, they're rising incrementally into the stratosphere, and The View and CNN, they're just trying to stabilize the bleeding. They're just trying to stabilize, like somebody that's wounded. Let's just stabilize it before they're just completely there's no vital signs. So that's where everything is trending. Network media, legacy media, whether it's network or print or anything else, it's unreliable at this point. It's like the National Enquirer back in the day. They had something, a print paper. It was the Enquirer, and it just had all kinds of bizarre stuff in there. That's what legacy media has become, and people have had enough. And let's continue with PBD.
But did you see the Jake Tapper, him showing Trump saying, because he's getting interviewed, he's talking about it, he says, this is wildly inappropriate. And then he shows a clip of Trump saying all the people that he's suing currently. Check this out.
We should note, Kristen, I don't want to overstate Trump's friendliness.
Here's Jake Tapper, this clown.
And genial attitude at this press conference, because this weekend ABC News agreed to pay $16 million, including legal fees, to settle a defamation lawsuit brought by Trump against.
Here come the lawsuits, boys. Your networks are already bankrupt. Here come the lawsuits, and there's going to be lawsuits, and then there's going to be indictments, and they're all scurrying now, just like everybody connected to P. Diddy. They're scurrying. Are we on these videos? What do they know? They're scurrying. Now Trump is elected, and now they're all scurrying. Well, he already won 60. He's going to donate the money. He already sued. He already got a settlement, and Trump's going to donate it to the library, the Trump library.
It's the network and their anchor George Stephanopoulos. And that obviously will not be the end of this campaign against the media.
That ABC, that lawsuit was because of George Snuffleupagus libel. He libeled him many, many times. Libeled him. Good old George Snuffleupagus, whatever, that other freaking psycho. And there's many more coming. What about The View? Huh? What about The View? Sonny Houston, Whoopi. Yeah, they want to play. They're playing with the wrong guy. Donald Trump's a soldier. He's a soldier.
Campaign against the media. We heard him go after many other news outlets. Take a listen.
Yes. I'm going to be bringing one against the people in Iowa, their newspaper. We're filing one on 60 Minutes. We're involved in one which has been going on for a while and very successfully against Bob Woodward. We have one very interestingly on Pulitzer because reporters at the New York Times, Washington Post got Pulitzer Prizes for their wonderful, accurate, and highly professional reporting on the Russia hoax.
Yes. We don't have time to go into all of that, but just to touch base on it.
You don't have time to go into all that, Jake Tapper. Yeah, they did all this libel reporting, and they got Pulitzer Prizes and all that. Yeah, look, thank you for the prize. Yeah. Well, you could keep your phony awards. Just get your lawyers and your checkbooks, because holy cow, I wasn't even aware of this. I'm watching this for the first time. Wow. After the lawsuits, we're going to see what politicians are next. We're going to even check out the district attorney's office, or I'm just saying, of the New York City and the DA's office down there, because Trump's just getting started. He's just getting started. There's freedom of speech and everything like that. But when these people who are all funded by globalists that don't care how much money they spend on these bankrupt networks, and they just keep funneling, financing them with tons of money. But it's like watching Bugs Bunny. Actually, the Saturday morning cartoons and the Three Stooges and Mayberry RFD, they get higher ratings than The View and CNN. Look at the huge budget behind CNN and ABC, and what does it cost MeTV, a little small network, to show some reruns of cartoons?
Why don't you have time?
Yeah,
Why
don't
you
get
have
weird.
time? Why don't you have time?
Yeah.
You made many people believe the Russia hoax was real. You, Adam Schiff, hey, we have plenty of sources showing that this is real, right? Everybody, and then we learn about it later on, and it's like, let's just kind of move on. Let's just kind of move on and go to a different thing.
You let the nation heal.
John Gotti III, the son of the Teflon Don, I showed that video last night, which PBD interviewed. Great interview. And he was stating some of the DAs and federal DAs and FBI, and he was naming some of the names of those feds back then that are in the Biden administration's cabinet.
This is the part that you have to realize with this. Words have power. That level of accountability is to everybody. Okay? And the bigger you get, you just have to realize you can talk shit all you want until all of a sudden
Lawsuits.
you like the limelight, but then the limelight also brings responsibility. This applies to everybody. You know,
Then the lawsuits come. Yes, some are just relegated to lawsuits, but they use lawfare, just unfounded cases against Trump, and that's just lawfare. But wait till Donald Trump turns the table as far as obstruction of justice, treason. These are layups. When you want to go against these other corrupted district attorney's office and political people that are deleting all their material, Liz Cheney and all them, that's lawyer 101. That's treason. That's obstruction of justice. And there's a lot of other felonies in there. So you could talk about lawsuits and everything pertaining to that, but people should go to jail behind it. It's anti-American, it's treason, it's manipulation, and that he could also personally sue them civilly.
That includes us. That includes everyone. That we have to be careful about it. It's easy when you're sitting here, laughing at them. You just have to make sure it doesn't happen to you. I'll never forget, we had a guy in our company that one of our guys was going through an ugly divorce. And it was very nasty.
Let's move along.
Patriot Act in the NBA.
Okay.
That means you're innocent until proven guilty. Sounds like a Republican to me, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
But back in the days, these guys had a backbone. They were leaders, right?
He's talking about, that's VLOD. It's PBD. He's talking about the NBA owners and football owners, NFL owners, and all that. And we see how it all got woked out, fruity pied out, and everything like that. And when Stern was in office, it was different. And then everything got fruity. So right now he's looking over. He's doing some information just because I bounced ahead, folks.
Soft, and so you gotta kind of be careful what direction it's going to. And CNN, Cronkite, NBA, Stern. I'm a Democrat, but guess what? I'm still a guy that's understanding what it is to protect the game.
Well, because they might be historical Democrats, but the commissioners of the NFL and the NBA, they know that when you're spewing all this, you're losing 50-60% of your fan base. I don't even watch NBA anymore. It's ridiculous. The game has changed, and then they politicized it. So I could care less. It don't even look like basketball anymore. They just shoot 3-pointers, and then they want to wear politicized things that I don't care about. I want to watch a game. You're not going to fool me like I'm stupid by promoting all this freaking fruity pie stuff.
Protect the players and protect everyone being innocent until being proven guilty. We're kind of going back to that. That's the biggest thing. We're kind of going back to that. We're kind of going back. And by the way, we went so far the other side. DOJ, lawsuit. Hey, Mar-a-Lago's only worth $18 million. And people are like, who the hell said it's worth $18 million? Oh, E. Jean Carroll. Oh, yeah, $451 million case. Oh, yeah, you got to put all this money for bail. Yeah, you got to do this.
Propaganda.
Try to destroy this guy's life. Did you forget a year ago, 9 months ago, 10 months ago? And you want this guy to stand around? Jake Tapper. How quickly you forget.
Jake Tapper.
So, yeah, he's going to do his part. And you act like it's, you guys were celebrating when Fox went through it with the whole, the Dominion, right? And now it's a whole different story. So anyways, I mean, listen, it's great that this is happening, but accountability is across the board to everybody. And folks have to realize. So, by the way, since we're talking about this, Rob, can you do me a favor? Can you pull up Greg Popovich?
Here's Greg Popovich.
Numbers came out. Colin Cowherd, if you can.
This totally whacked out the coach of San Antonio Spurs. I'm going to show it.
You pull up the Colin Cowherd clip first, and then we'll go to. Am I even saying his name right? That's correct. Colin Cowherd,
for sure,
is saying the following. And this guy works for Rock. Is this ESPN or is this Fox? FS1 is Fox, right?
Yes,
okay.
Fox.
So what? Which, by the way, I like what Colin does. I mean, he's sensational. He's entertaining.
Yep.
And he'll have Bill Barr come up. Bill Bill Burr come up and talk shit to him. Bill Burr. But watch what he says here about the NBA. Go ahead, Rob.
Roger Goodell has navigated a multitude of cultural changes. That CTE issue, that was bad and overlooked for a long time by a previous commissioner or two. And here he's made the PAT interesting. He tinkers, he evolves. And the NBA, meanwhile, ratings are down 48% in the last 12 years, and they have fallen off a cliff this year. And Adam Silver's salute.
Viewership is down 50% in the NBA. Adam Silver, whatever the hell he is, Sir Drum, Sad Boy Maz. So this is going to lead into this insane Popovich. And this is Colin Hurd from F Fox Sports, and he's pretty cool. He's a sports guy, but he knows politics.
Is let's make the courts brighter. And I like the NBA, but the All-Star game is now embarrassing, and I think load management is a shame on the league. It is a really bad look for a family of four to go to a game and Giannis doesn't play or Embiid doesn't play. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you go pay these ridiculously high prices, and then, Embiid is sick. Well, Embiid's always injured. Antetokounmpo, you pay for these high-profile athletes. You pay to go see them, and they're doing load management because they're little weak fruity pies that can't play 80 games or whatever. Yes, injuries do happen, yes. But even if there's a healthy player, they'll sit out a game or two games, and then you go buy a ticket and mortgage your house to buy a ticket, and you go there and you go, honey, where's our athlete we were waiting to see? Well, he's doing load management, honey. Well, why did we even come? The game's not even interesting. All you're looking at is a 3-point exhibition competition. All you're looking at is a 3-point competition. If you look at another player, it's a foul. Woked out fruity pie stuff.
Go ask the Democrats. Be warned, once you detach from regular people in America, you will pay a price.
By the way, I want to know how long this guy's going to keep his job. Honestly, I want to know how long he's going to keep his job. Then, this is what Popovich, this man here that you're about to hear, guys.
Here it comes.
He is idolized in the NBA by a lot of people, okay? And he's a millionaire, a rich man, extremely bitter, seems very unhappy, arrogant, pompous, and he hates, based on the way he speaks, he gives me impression that he hates half of America. But go ahead and watch this clip here.
He's pathetic. He's small.
He's talking about Trump.
He's a whiner. We all know that.
Rob, it's too loud.
But you wouldn't have him babysit your kids.
He's talking about
You
Trump.
wouldn't hire him if you had a small business. You want that man in your business? There's no way. But we're going to vote for him for president?
Yes.
Because he's strong? I mean,
Look at this clown.
Kamala Harris whipped his ass in the debate.
What?
Just obviously. And he's running.
He said Kamala Harris whooped him in the debate. What planet are these people from? What I want to know as being studied in psychology is, are they fronting, or do they actually believe in this gibberish? He could be truly believing this while he's spewing it. Or does he know he's talking smack and he just wants to stand on that crazy position?
Never says he doesn't want any part of her. Because as she said before, she's eaten many of his type for lunch.
Yeah, whatever.
He's an attorney
He
general,
actually
he's a
believes
prosecutor. He's a small fry compared to some of the people she's going after.
Yeah, okay.
And he knows it. So all he can do is cut people down, and do what he does. We've all seen all that kind of stuff. The ones that you can be even more angry about, because he's sick. He's a damaged man. He grew up the biggest wannabe there ever was in New York, right? We all know that. He wanted to be in the inner circle, but they laughed at him his whole life. Just like Obama made fun of him at that dinner, and he was about to melt. Yeah. It angered him so bad, it was scary. but he was never accepted. He was treated like a fool, like a clown. And now he's able to just give the finger to the world because of his position now. And
this is paramount to, like, if you went into an insane asylum and you grabbed a guy out of his room and you said, come on, let's talk to you. This is what you would see. Just insane. He would reach the criteria for being insane, amongst a lot of other things.
You can pause it. Everybody. He's not giving the finger to the world. His voters are giving the fingers to the world. There's a big difference, Popovich. People like you.
And what about the other owners that are just saying, chill out, Popovich? These people buy tickets. These people support our league. Chill out. What are you doing? You're disenfranchising half of the people. Well, maybe more, Democrats or whatever, but these are your customers.
By the way, pull up the numbers on NBA's viewership is down what percentage?
48.
Viewership is down 48% the last 12 years.
I wonder why.
Rob, just type in 48%. That's it. Watch, it should come up.
Number one, the viewership is down 48% because organically the game has changed. The refs have changed, the players changed, and it's got more fruity. Number two, they politicized it. You got to look, the players are wearing things. They got all this political stuff on football fields, the NBA courts. What do you think? You're disenfranchising your customers.
The WNBA ratings have dropped a staggering 48% since 2012.
This 28% this year alone.
And this year, 28% alone. TNT games average 1.8 million viewers, while ESPN ratings at 28% from last year, sitting at 1.77 million. By the way, Adam Silver, message for you. This falls on you. Yep. You know why? You know when Adam Silver became the commissioner? I looked it up last night, 2014. David Stern was a great commissioner.
David Stern was in there making the NBA international. It was such a great product on the heels of Jordan and other historical greats from the NBA. Then you get this fruity that get put in these positions, and then they wonder after the fact. Why? Because these owners are so wealthy that they don't care? Do they have the same perved thoughts? Do they agree with all that fruity pie stuff? I'd have to say not all of the owners would agree with that, but why do they let it happen? Because the commissioner lets it happen? Or what do they tell? What's the commissioner say? You got to put this political statement on your basketball court. You can't. Is there any objection that you could have to the commissioner of the NBA and say, no? Of course, Mark Cuban wants to do it, but do all the other owners? So you got the commissioner telling the owners, you got to put all this fruity pie political stuff on your courts.
Commissioner, under David Stern, we watched the game. Under you're okay with a owner talking like this, with a coach talking like this? You're not going to call him and have a conversation saying, hey, what are we doing? By the way,
yeah, Adam Silver, you like what this Popovich is spewing? You know how many years it would take to lose viewership by 48% in statistical analysis? Because if you just left your big mouth shut and didn't fruity pie the game, you didn't politicize the game. If you left it alone, it would just deviate 1%, 2%. It would just deviate here or there in statistical data. How do you tank 48%
Adam Silver, who are your customers? I'm curious. Who are Roger Goodell's customers? Who are Rob Manfred's customers? NBA that's passed you up as a product. MLB that's passed you up as a product. Who are Roger Goodell's customers? You got the fans, and who else? Owners. Do you think other owners are sitting there celebrating the way Popovich speaks about half of their customers that are coming to the store to buy something?
Right.
You think Pop speaking like that in San Antonio affects, a Houston team?
Why wouldn't Silver stop the pollution of Popovich?
Affects a Miami team? Affects a Clippers team?
Polluted.
Affects everybody else? It affects everybody. That represents the NBA. That's your face. That's your best coach right now in the NBA. Who's a better coach than Pop right now in the NBA? It's not Phil Jackson. He never talked like this. And we all know he was a liberal when he was with the Knicks back in the days when they won in 1972. I think Phil Jackson won a championship in 71. When did the Knicks win a championship?
But Phil Jackson, the liberals of the 70s are a lot different than the liberals of today. Let's just establish that, ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
72, and he won a championship. And he used to be friends with this other guy that used to be on the team that they used to have debates with. What was his
Bradley.
name? Bill Bradley. Bradley ended up running as a Democrat, didn't he? Phil Jackson was a guy that was a left-leaning guy. But when he was the best coach in the NBA, how did he handle this situation here? Nothing. Michael Jordan is a Democrat. He is probably today an independent, right? His family, last dance, the position he took when Obama said, I was kind of disappointed when Michael didn't come out. What happened to the NBA under Michael? What happened to the NBA under Phil Jackson? What happened to the NBA under Kobe?
They rose the game up. Then Obama got mad at Michael Jordan because he didn't want to play in that political garbage. And he told Obama, step aside, scrub, step aside. Because they were trying to get their claws in to do this way back.
What happened to the NBA under some of these coaches? What happened to them? Pat Riley. Where are these guys politically? But what do they do to have their customers? You're okay with Popovich speaking to me like this, a customer? To millions of customers that at one point we grew up listening to this game and watching this game. We grew up to this. That was Bird. You're taking that away.
We grew up to this. Me personally, the 70s, I was a young kid. I used to mow lawns and shovel snow, try to make a couple dollars here and there so I could take a Trailways bus to go watch the Buffalo Braves, an NBA team. When it was basketball and competition. And I loved it. I was an athlete myself, and I loved it. To be able to say to my friends and family, I went to see an NBA game. Wow, I went to see an NBA game. They weren't very good, but sometimes another good team would come in, and and it meant it was better culture. We like sports, entertainment, and things like that. And now you got to pay $200 for nosebleed tickets to watch the organic game change that's garbage, and then watch political statements on the court. We just want to watch good old-fashioned sports. We don't need people trying to indoctrinize our brain and hypnotize us, because I don't care. I could care less what an athlete's view or owner is about politics. I'm a well-informed individual where I don't have to follow an athlete's lead because I'm a dummy. I can make my own decisions. So I don't need an athlete to sway my common sense, logic, and education, which you don't even need an education.
From us? We have to, grown men, I'm 46 years old, I got 4 kids, I want to sit and watch a game. You want me to hear this bullshit?
Nope.
Get the...
Nope.
We're not watching this. Adam Silver, it's on you.
Yep. That freak.
I put it on you.
He's a freak.
I put it on you for walking on eggshells around guys like LeBron. Walking on eggshells around guys like Steve Kerr. They don't respect you, Adam Silver. They don't look at you as a commissioner. They look at you as a lawyer who got lucky. And David Stern was not just a lawyer. He was not just a commissioner, but he was a leader. You are not a leader.
And a fan.
You're a nice guy who's afraid to put his foot down and fix this. By the way, your legacy and your resume, when people look at the data, here's what they're going to say. Where was the NBA in 2014 when he took over? And where's the NBA today? Maybe the worst resume in the history.
Well, when you compare Silver's resume, where that was, well, what he's saying is you're going to say he is the worst commissioner ever. Just like when you look at Biden, you'll say he was the worst president ever. They've politicized sports and they think that fans are stupid. They think that sports fans are stupid, and they hang their head on it. And then they look at this data from Adam Silver going, 50% viewership is down. There's people watching the Three Stooges and cartoons more than the NBA. And in the meantime, how can they keep paying all these high salaries? Because number one, viewership is down. So advertisers will fight to say, well, you can't charge us all this money for these ads. There's 50% people, 50% less people watching this game, watching this product. So if you're charging me $100,000 for an ad for 1 million viewers, and there's only 500,000 viewers, then you should be charging me $50,000. So when you break it down to the advertisers, so then what? Now you can't pay all these huge contracts. So it's going to trickle down and it's going to trickle up, where it's all these exorbitant contracts. These owners aren't going to be making the money from the ads. Thus, they can't pay these players all these big contracts. So they're going to implode on themselves, economically speaking.
We have commissioners of sports. Adam Silver, you may go down as the worst commissioner ever for your customers. And I used to love this game.
I don't watch.
Diehard Laker fan until LeBron came over.
LeBron.
Diehard. I was a diehard NBA fan until this spectacle happened. And
LeBron's out for personal reasons. What's on those Diddy videos? Well, we've already saw him saying, them together. It's been out and it's been on social media.
every time I have to watch people like Popovich, I can't just watch and see his greatness as a coach. I have to sit there and feel judged.
Bum.
And you're Kamala Harris, Popovich?
Yeah.
Your idea, all the money they spend, giving all these celebrities, Stallion, what is that? Whatever.
Megan.
Stallion twerking. You think Megan the Stallion twerking at an event for Kamala is a classy way to gain voters? Really, Popovich? Really? And if she's so great, how come she lost 7 states? How come?
Yeah.
How come she lost 7 states? No, it's a sad situation when you're watching.
This PBD,
it's
man.
An absolute sad situation.
This PBD. Pretty good. Pretty good. What's up, Ivan Lore? Yep, Trump is coming. Yeah. A lot of basketball players were in those freak offs. Ooh, boy, they're all sitting there going, Ooh, boy, oh boy, oh boy. Politicians too. Politicians too. There's an enlightening thing coming. I think this is a golden age where there's a realignment to get all this crazy stuff addressed so we can go on, and maybe we could turn 2024 and the rest of the 20s into the roaring 20s. Remember the roaring 20s? Well, we weren't alive.
That they're doing this to a great game that we used to spend tens of thousands of dollars every year. When I was broke, we used to spend hundreds of dollars every year going to a game and enjoying great memories with our friends.
Right.
This is how much interest I got in watching a game today. See how much that is?
Yeah, zero interest, he says. I used to sweat doing odd jobs around the neighborhood so I could catch a trail, walk 5 miles to the Trailways bus station, get on a bus, go to the city, watch the game, and come back because I love the game. I love the game. And what they turn it into now, they don't care that it's tanking. Do they even have, it's so politicized that you would think people in these board meetings are going, well, listen, Adam Silver, I don't think that's a good idea. Well, and other owners and Cuban, and, I don't think that's a good idea. Why? Because they're just off so ultra wealthy that they don't care. They just want their personal politics to be known, and they don't care about the bottom line as a profit or a loss.
Zero. Shout out to Godell for getting rid of all the BS they had in 2017 and allowing us to watch a football game today. And they stand. Hey, boom. Shout out.
Yeah. Because they want to kneel for the national anthem. Then get out. The athletes. You want to kneel for the national anthem? Like that Kaepernick, he started all that crazy stuff. You want to get out. Get out. And he still receives a salary, I believe. That Roach and all that stuff.
To them, to MLB. It's a shame what happened to the product of the NBA. Adam.
There is no.
You're spot on, PBD. I mean, I'm a lifelong sports fan, played college football, love the NBA, but the NFL and the NBA are completely in different leagues, literally at this point. And if you go down the rabbit hole, Mark Cuban, we've seen what he's doing, owner of the Mavericks, woke, liberal, Rachel Maddow, Greg Popovich, Steve Kerr. These are all a byproduct of who? Barack Obama. They love Barack Obama, all good. But then they went double down on Biden. They went double down on Kamala. Do you remember when Golden State won multiple championships? Who did they not go visit? Trump in the White House. Yeah. We're not going to visit. We're not going to visit. We're not going to visit.
What did LeBron call Trump on Twitter?
What do you call him?
Chump.
Exactly. So here you have
LeBron called Donald Trump chump. Well, he who laughs last laughs the best, because allegedly LeBron was at them freak-offs. Allegedly, LeBron was at those freak-offs, thinking they're just all bulletproof and making millions of dollars, going to these parties and engaging in all nefarious and really perved out stuff, criminal stuff. Now LeBron's missing and Donald Trump is president-elect.
Adam Silver, in the movie The Bronx Tale, he's like, is it better to be liked or better to be respected?
Yep.
So Adam Silver, here's a guy who just wants to be liked. David Stern, arguably one of the best commissioners in sports history, right? Jordan, Magic, Bird, the list goes on and on. What is Adam Silver's legacy going to be? The bubble, social justice warriors, everything that was going on there. You remember how when I was watching, this was in Dallas and Addison, my favorite city in the world.
Miami, you were watching.
I was watching the Heat games in the finals, freaking out in the gym. It was amazing. And look where the league has gone since then.
Tanked.
It's actually sad to see. But then on the flip side,
not a chump, a bum.
A bum, a chump, same thing. Then you got Roger Goodell. Didn't he just get a pay raise recently? Something ridiculous, a ridiculous contract.
He got a $250 million.
Because in the midst of controversy, when they were losing viewership, did he double down on it, or he said, no? We're not going to be kneeling. We're going to respect the flag. We love America. We're not going to alienate half our audience, which goes back to the whole George Step.
At least Goodell cleaned it up. When that Kaepernick and all that stuff, he's like, enough,
Monopolist, ABC, CBS thing. When are late night TV hosts going to realize you're alienating half the country? Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, Stephen Colbert. It makes no financial sense.
By the way, though, here's the part. They can choose to go there, someone has to whisper to them,
Right.
what are you doing? Let me tell you,
That's what I mean. Aren't there board directors and other intelligent people in these organizations that can't foresee the bottom line? But they double down on it. Mr. Anderson, Trump is not a coward. He's a fighter. Yes. They double down on it because these billionaire owners don't care. And then if you don't have a commissioner that comes in and says, hey, hold on here, then you're going to get viewership down 50%. Well, you can look at the numbers next year. It'll be down 70%.
opinion. If Stephen A. Smith is talking gibberish the way he is, if you have this clip, Rob, if you wanna
Talking
play
that
it,
talk.
if he's talking like this, and I'm going to tell you this,
Stephen A. Smith on ESPN, very smart. Oh, he's an encyclopedia of sports and everything. And then he came out, I think he's just an independent. I like to call myself an independent thinker. For whatever looks attractive to me, then I'll lean that way. But Stephen A. Smith works for ESPN. That was part of that propaganda, woked out, crazy politicized network, ESPN. And he come out. So they're owned by Disney. How would Disney feel about, well, now Stephen A. Smith has his own podcast, so he can be independent of ESPN and all them gibberish. I got to give him credit.
it's going to sound strange what I'm about to say. If he talks like this that I'm about to show you, and still Bob Iger gives him a contract,
That's Disney.
Bob Iger's making some progress because they still haven't given it to him.
Yeah.
You know,
So Iger, that owns Disney, ESPN, and all that, he's Stephen A. Smith's boss. And Stephen A. Smith said this stuff, and how will Disney and Iger respond to it?
That's what I'm saying. First of all, listen to what he said. Tell me if this guy sounds like somebody that works for the left, the center, or the right. Go ahead. Play this clip.
Stephen A. Smith.
Amidst a bombshell report from the Justice Department that revealed the FBI had at least 26 confidential informants on the ground when the Capitol was stormed on January 6, 2021. The report says most of the informants engaged in illegal activity during the chaos. The Justice Department says only 3 of its 26 informants present had been instructed to observe potential domestic terrorist suspects on the day of the riot. The rest of the 23 appeared to have gone to the Capitol on their own accord. Upon hearing news of the report, Vice President-elect J.D. Vance posted the following on X, quote, "For those keeping score at home, this was labeled a dangerous conspiracy theory months ago," end quote. Didn't hear anything about that for the election. Didn't hear anything about that when the quote-unquote insurrection was broached by Vice President Kamala Harris as the Democratic nominee. The belief that Donald Trump was a danger to democracy and using this as a profound, illuminating bullet point to make that case. And now here we are yet again finding even more evidence to Donald Trump's claims when he articulated that process is rigged. My big issue is that I'm really, really sick and tired of every time I turn around finding something else that the Democrats have lied about or downplayed or misrepresented along the way. I mean, I see Republicans like Megyn Kelly or Officer Tatum or Candace Owens or, the Sean Hannitys of the world. You know what I'm getting tired of? To the Democratic Party, you know what I'm getting really pissed off about? I'm getting really ticked off, and every time they open their mouth about something pertaining to y'all, they seem right to make the case that the right had a monopoly on insidious, evil tendencies, corrupt tendencies, duplicitous, hypocritical, untruthful tendencies.
You can pause it right there.
So,
by the way,
so Stephen A. Smith is probably the one person on ESPN that kept them afloat. because of his sports knowledge. So they're owned by Disney and Iger and all that. And he comes out and makes a statement. So will Disney, Iger keep Stephen A. Smith on ESPN? But Stephen A. Smith can come out like this right now because he's built up more financial stuff. Maybe early in his career, he didn't have name recognition. He was just coming up and he wouldn't make statements like this. But now he's more financially, obviously, he's in a better financial position. And now he could speak his heart and not get memos from editors and from the owners of this propaganda and say, well, you got to say this, you got to say that, you got to say this. Don't say this, don't say that. I give Stephen A. Smith a lot of credit.
If he still gets the contract from Disney,
Yeah.
props to Bob Iger.
Big time.
Because
Bob Iger.
if Stephen A's talking like this, Bob calls and say, hey, lower your tone, buddy.
Yeah, what are
It's
you
a
doing?
little too much. Because Bob Iger, in his book, Right of a Lifetime, talks about that when Rupert Murdoch or Roger Ailes asked him a question when they were in the process of buying Disney or whatever they were doing, he says, hey, Bob, are you going to run for president? He says, I told him no, even though deep down inside, I knew I wanted to run for president, right? And Bob is a Democrat. His family, Democrat, right?
Mhm.
He cannot like what Stephen A. Smith is saying.
Can't.
But he's saying, run for president? He says, I told him no, even though deep down inside, I knew I wanted to run for
Well, you get the gist of it, my good people. And there's a big shift obviously happening where when you got sports networks that are like Bob Iger, president of Disney. Disney owns a lot of networks and they just politicize them all. And then they're being exposed. Now, Stephen A. Smith is the one guy that keeps that network going, but he's had enough. So if Stephen A. Smith renews his contract with ESPN, that means that Iger, the Disney guy, says, okay, go ahead, you're all right. Because he knows that he's the one guy that gives us sports fans data information, and it's cool. It's cool. Or he might say, you're fired. But Stephen A. Smith is in a better financial position today, and he's got the Stephen A. Smith show, and he can run his own network. That's why, just like CNN is tanking, and all this legacy media, and now legacy sports network, ESPN. Well, these people we don't need legacy networks. So Stephen A. Smith might be thinking, I don't need ESPN. I got enough money in the bank. I'm going to raise up the Stephen A. Smith show that's divorced and separated from ESPN because he knows that people watch ESPN for him. So he's going to keep that audience minus all the political bullcrap. So I applaud Stephen A. Smith for that. I applaud PBD, Patrick Bet-David, for putting it out there. And there's a shift. There's a golden age coming. And we don't want woke in sports. We don't want fruity pies doing all this. We don't want political stuff on football fields and NBA courts. And then they wonder why their product is tanking. So thank you, Mr. Anderson. Thank you, Ivan. Sir Drum. Sad Boy Maz, where you been? Jack the Clipper, thank you. I appreciate your viewership. Hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button, do 2 cartwheels. There's a Cash App if you want to buy me a cup of coffee. All donations will be greatly accepted. And we're going to get back to some mob stories. I had a good response from John Gotti Jr., John Gotti III. Some other things I want to talk about, and we're going to keep the channel going. I think they turned me on again, and I'm able to get subscribers and things like that. So we can rise up. Thank you, Mr. Anderson. I appreciate you always coming in here and helping me out. Ivan, Laura, I appreciate you guys coming in here. Keep me company. And we're going to keep rocking and rolling. Okay, folks. So that's that. I'm in the trenches. I got nothing better to do all day than investigate and, things like that. So God is good every day. And thank you, Jesus. And I always got to do it. Precious, my niece. And that's it, folks. So have a great holiday season. Keep your head up. Don't get depressed because we're missing loved ones. Well, people might drink more or use chemicals because it gets depressing sometimes, and let's fight it. Okay. So that's it, folks. I do these videos. Boom, 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 boom. So we're going to keep rocking and rolling. Thanks a lot, folks.